On a day like any other, something happened, something that would change everyone's lives. But why? What could have happened on that seemingly ordinary day? Meet Katy Sharp, a 24-year-old with dreams and plans for change. To achieve her goals, she tirelessly works in various bars, saving penny by penny. And then, in the midst of bars and dreams, enters James McNamara, a 41-year-old American, an unexpected encounter that would trigger a series of dark events. James gains Katy's trust, becoming a constant presence in her life. They make a deal, a simple task, cleaning James's house for some extra money. Get ready for a story of survival, courage and justice, because on this day, everything changed. Welcome to the Criminal Chronicles channel. If you're fascinated by inexplicable mysteries and intriguing challenges, this is the right place for you. Welcome to another video full of sinister enigmas and stories that will captivate you from start to finish. If you love unraveling intriguing cases and diving into mysterious narratives, don't waste any time and join us right now. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any details of the mysteries we're going to explore together from now on. And of course, if you can give that like right at the beginning of the video, know that it makes all the difference so that I can continue bringing engaging content to you. Let's dive headfirst into another intriguing journey. Here we go. Katy Sharp, born in the United States in 1986, came from a family consisting of her mother and a younger sister. In pursuit of independence, she left her mother's house and moved to a different city. Over time, she realized her desire to work in a bigger city, and to achieve that goal, started working in various bars, saving money to eventually settle in Nashville. At the age of 24, she found herself working as a barista at a nighttime establishment, where she stood out for her friendliness, hard work, and a smile always on her face when serving customers. Her courtesy was remarkable, and she treated everyone with kindness. It was during this time that she met James McNamara, nicknamed Jimmy, born in 1969. At the time of the incident, he was 41 years old and regularly frequented the bar where Katy worked. Initially, they started talking about music and other topics, and Katy, always helpful, engaged in their conversations. This became a routine, with Jimmy showing up at the bar every night to interact with Katy. Over time, he managed to win Katy's friendship, and she began sharing details of her life, including information about her mother, her younger sister, and her family's residence. Katy also shared her goal of saving money for a future move. It was at this point that Jimmy proposed that Katy perform cleaning services at his house twice a week, offering generous financial compensation in return. Katy accepted the offer, and in October of 2010, she began her visits to Jimmy's house to perform cleaning tasks. When describing Jimmy's residence, Katy described it as immaculate, with every detail meticulously organized and no trace of dust. However, Katy admitted that she only maintained appearances during her visits and did not perform a thorough cleaning. As time passed, the interaction between Katy and Jimmy intensified, with her believing that he was a lonely individual in search of companionship. All of this continued until, at a certain point, Jimmy proposed that he would pay $100 for Katy to play cards with him. She agreed and thought, "My God, he must be so desperate for friendship that he's willing to pay for friends." At that time, Katy felt great compassion for him. In the following days, the interactions continued in this way, but Katy began to notice a change in the tone of the conversations. Gradually, Jimmy began to reveal his anger towards people. As the conversation evolved, he shared stories of how he had caused suffering to others. Starting in November, Katy, who had previously felt sorry for him, began to feel apprehensive about the conversations. Jimmy no longer allowed her to help with cleaning the house. Instead, he instructed her to sit on the couch, where he spent hours narrating stories of people he had tortured, assaulted, and pursued. Katy then started to avoid going to his house and stopped answering his calls. However, he surprised her by going to her workplace and insisted that she clean his house one more time. Katy ended up going. At this point, she had planned to move to another city on December 31st, but her plans changed dramatically. Jimmy proposed that they become a couple, and Katy refused. He threatened her, saying she couldn't refuse, and forced her to pack her things and move to his house. Katy resisted, but he threatened her, saying he knew where her family lived and that he would do terrible things to them. Terrified, she packed her things, and on December 12, 2010, Katy moved into Jimmy's house. She was now living with Jimmy, a cruel and heartless man who forced her to have intimate relations with him. After forcing her into intimate relations, he told Katy, "Remember that day when I called you and you didn't answer? Today you're going to pay for that." And then he beat her for hours on end until he finally grew tired and fell asleep. The days went by, and Jimmy became increasingly violent. Katy complied with his demands to avoid beatings, but unfortunately, she would still be assaulted anyway. Any mistake, from cutting food the wrong way to performing household tasks improperly, was a reason for him to beat her. The beatings were frequent and lasted for hours. When Katy thought the situation couldn't get any worse, he pulled out a baseball bat and announced that it would be her tormentor. He began relentlessly beating Katy's legs with the bat, causing wounds that quickly became infected. Jimmy allowed only a minute for Katy to clean and bandage her wounds before attacking her again at night. Over time, Jimmy became even more cruel, and Katy knew that these beatings could lead to her death. On a certain day, Jimmy took her to his brother's house, where his brother and his wife were present. Jimmy's sister-in-law pulled Katy aside and whispered, "You need to escape, or this will end up killing you." Despite this, they returned to Jimmy's house, where he continued to terrorize Katy, using not only a baseball bat, but also hammers, knives, and any object he could find to hurt her. The paralyzing fear that he would commit atrocities against her family kept Katy from escaping, holding her captive. After 3 months of torment at Jimmy's hands, on February 13, 2011, they boarded a flight to Las Vegas, where Jimmy planned to celebrate his birthday on February 18th. They stayed at the Circus Hotel in Las Vegas, and Katy's visible bruises and injuries were so evident that she believed someone in the hotel would question what was happening and call the police. However, no one asked questions, and against all odds, Katy continued to follow Jimmy. After a night of heavy drinking and drug use by Jimmy, he fell asleep, and it was at this moment that Katy found the courage to escape. She immediately sought help from hotel security, who detained Jimmy and then contacted the police, who arrested both Jimmy and Katy. Katy was rushed to the nearest hospital with severe injuries and widespread infections. The extent of the infections was so severe that there was concern they would affect her bloodstream, and her leg injuries were so severe that amputation was almost considered. In addition, Katy had all her ribs broken due to Jimmy's brutal attacks. When the detective arrived at the hospital to take Katy's statement, something about the name James McNamara sounded familiar, as if he had heard it mentioned 3 years earlier in a similar case involving another woman who, although suffering in similar circumstances, had not had the courage to report Jimmy due to paralyzing fear. He repeated this cruel pattern with many women, all too terrified to report him. Jimmy was a psychopath, gaining their trust before delving into their personal lives and subsequently abusing them in terrible mental, sexual, and physical ways. Finally, on October 23, 2013, Jimmy went to trial. Katy, bravely, was the first to report him and face him in court, giving strength to other victims who also testified against him. This act of courage led to Jimmy's conviction to life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. It was evident that Jimmy would not cease his series of abuses against women, and now he was finally behind bars. Katy made a full recovery, and today, at the age of 34, she leads a non-profit organization called Heart to Heart, which provides assistance to women in abusive situations. And thus, we conclude another captivating dive into the shadows of the world of crime and mysteries. If you were intrigued by the twists, puzzles, and engaging narratives we explored here on the Criminal Chronicles channel, don't miss the chance to join us on this ongoing journey. Subscribe right now to the channel so you won't miss any electrifying episodes that are yet to come. Each case, every meticulously investigated detail, relies on your support to keep happening. Leave your like, because that's what motivates us to keep bringing you quality content and meticulous investigations. Comments are also essential. Share your theories, opinions, and ideas. Your participation makes this community even richer and full of energy to unravel the greatest criminal mysteries. Remember, producing videos as engaging as this is a challenge, but with your support, we can continue to explore the stories that stir our investigative instincts. So don't waste any time. If you're not yet a part of this passionate community for mysteries and intriguing crimes, click the subscribe button, activate notifications, and leave your mark in the comments and likes. Together, we will uncover the most complex secrets of the criminal underworld. Until the next video, detectives,